Hello, I'm Pastor Paul Holt, and I'm starting a new segment I'm calling the Bizarro World. And it's a look at some of the more bizarre things that are happening in America. As we're moving away from God, as we're moving away from the Lord, there are just some really weird things going on out there. So I thought I would have a little fun with it and call it Bizarro World. So named because as I grew up reading Superman comics, and one of the more interesting characters was the character of Bizarro. Now, Bizarro was a imperfect copy of Superman, and he lived ultimately on a planet where they spelled Earth backwards. Hatar, I guess is how you would say it, Hatari. And so everything was backwards and upside down. He was an imperfect copy. In some of the timelines, it was Lex Luthor who made the copy. In other timelines, it was other ways that it was done. So, they had some weird stuff. Like here's one panel of a comic where the people that came in last actually won the race, because everything's backwards in Bizarro's world. Everything's upside down and inside out. And here's one that I thought really fit with, taking a look at how bizarre the world is getting. Here you have Superboy looking in on a Bizarro business. And it says, "Fire the idiot who is working hard, give lazy sleeping fool a raise." "Yes, boss." And when I came across that one, I was like, well, hey, that's a lot like our reality. You know, we punish those who work and reward those who don't. And so I thought this was a fitting thing to call it Bizarro World. And so at one point, as we're going to find, as we look at our Bizarro World, at some of the strange things that they're wanting us to do, they're wanting us to become Bizarro too. See here, Superman is, there is no escape. I'm doomed to spend the rest of my life on this mad world. And they say, "Us find defendant Superman guilty. Us order court to change into a Bizarro like us." And see, that's the point. That's one of the things that they are attempting to do. Those that believe these bizarre things and practice these bizarre things, the things they're trying to get passed in state legislatures and in national legislatures, the ways that they're changing our laws and the ways that we operate, it's just bizarre. So in this little introduction, I just wanted to give you an idea of what I hope to do with this particular segment that I'm calling the Bizarro World. I could have gone with the Bearded Spock world, but I thought that was a bit awkward. Do you remember Bearded Spock, right? Or am I geeking out too much? Probably. Well, there was a transporter accident, and Captain Kirk and Scotty and Uhura and even Dr. McCoy ended up in this parallel universe where bad was good. And so, the question is, are we going to give in to the Bearded Spock world where everything's upside? Well, I have to get back to Bizarro. That's why I chose Bizarro over Bearded Spock world, because it just worked better. So anyway, what I'm trying to do is point out that Bizarro means well. He means to do what he thinks is right. He wants to do the things that he believes should be done. And unfortunately, those things are actually destructive to the world. I found this frame, I thought it was kind of funny. The Bizarro invasion of Earth. "Superman, to prove us like you, our super Bizarro army will smash your planet like this." And so he smashes a planet. And "Great Krypton, a Bizarro legion. These imperfect duplicates of me think in reverse, so instead of helping Earth, they're destroying it." I know it's a little geeky, but ultimately, this is the battle. This is what's going on. There is a battle between what Bizarro thinks is right and what the good guys think are right. And this is ultimately a biblical question. I use the term Bizarro because hopefully it's something that you might get a kick out of. Hopefully it's something that you might find easy to understand. The scriptures, though, bear out something quite different. In Romans chapter 1, starting in verse 18, it says, "For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who suppress the truth in unrighteousness. Because what may be known of God is manifest in them, for God has shown it to them. For since the creation of the world, His invisible attributes are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even His eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. Because although they knew God, they did not glorify Him as God, nor were thankful, but became futile in their thoughts, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Professing to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the incorruptible God into an image made like corruptible man, and birds, and four-footed animals, and creeping things. Therefore, God also gave them up to uncleanness in the lust of their hearts, to dishonor their bodies among themselves, who exchanged the truth of God for the lie, and worshiped and served the creature rather than the Creator, who's blessed forever. Amen. For this reason, God gave them up to vile passions, for even their women exchanged the natural use for what is against nature. Likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust for one another. Men with men, committing what is shameful, and receiving in themselves the penalty that was their error, which was due. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a debased mind, to do those things which are not fitting." And so that's the point of this little segment. There are a lot of crazy things that are starting to go on in America, in the various states, and around the world. And what I just wanted to share briefly is that this is a bizarro world. This is craziness that we see happening now. These things are insane. They don't make any sense. But what's interesting, like Bizarro, like the character in the Superman comics, people are deceived because their minds are not operating correctly. They've refused to acknowledge God. They've rejected Him. They've rejected His ways. And so their thinking has been modified. Their thinking has been changed. And what was once evil is now good. And what is good is now evil. Just like on the Bizarro World. If you're anything of a comic book fan like I was when I was a teenager, you'll recognize this character. I'm Pastor Paul Holt. I hope this was somewhat entertaining and educational, and I hope it blesses you. Thank you.